All right, welcome along everyone to Mel's Christmas special. We've got a few guests here. Stephen Barker, National Championship competitor, still.
Former two-wheel drive national champion.
Former two, yeah. Worked for M Sport for 2 years, was it, Steve?
Yeah, 2 years.
Yeah. 2 years, cool. Blair or Lunchbox, I'm not sure what we're going to call him today. It'll probably be Lunchbox most of the time. Expert comments from Lunchbox. He may plead the fifth on some of the questions we fire at him. And of course we've got Bryn Jones, whose lovely workshop we're in today. A couple of escorts in the background. Maybe they're not going, but we might see how we go with some O's on the front lawn later on, Bryn. Think alright?
We'll wait and see.
So Bryn, while you're here, we'll just have a little bit of a yarn with you. So you've been in the Fiesta for 2 seasons now?
We bought the car back in 2018 off Max Gilgis, and we did Rally Coromandel, we did Rally Ragland of the Coast, and we had 2 really good results there, and then we did the Northern Rally Sprint Series this year, and we did a couple of rallies at the end of this year as well. Just a little bit of practice for next year.
Full assault next year?
We've got a plan, but the budget doesn't really in line with that at the moment. But definitely, if we can get some good people to come and support us next year, I would like to be at Dunedin.
Cool.
Just talk us through. The gearboxes in those Fiestas are pretty well indestructible. So how did you break yours, Bryn?
So we got the call up a couple of nights ago saying that the split pin, the roll pin in the gearbox had broken, which has left the selector floating, and of course it jammed into 2 gears at the end of stage 4, which was very gutting. So we're doing very, very well at the start of the rally, which I was very, very surprised with. Like, we were way ahead of some of my other rivals that we knew that we were competitive with this year. So yeah, it's very gutting, but we've shown our speed is good for the following few years.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope that you can put together a program for 2020 and obviously big event rally in New Zealand at the end of the season, but Cat 2 could be an exciting class next year. So
Certainly.
And they're good, great cars to learn. I mean, Stephen, you spent a lot of time in them, and of course it took you a few places. I'll get you to talk us through in a minute, Stephen, but a lot of the fast competitors in National Championship, past and present, have come through the Fiestas or a front-wheel drive, naturally aspirated, not too much power car. I mean, Jack Hawkswood went Mazda way, but so you did a bit of time in them, Stephen?
Yeah, so we ran the Fiesta as part of the Rally New Zealand Rising Stars Scholarship Program. So, of course, Ben Hunt drove the car in 2009 and I had it in 2010. Like you say, they're not the most powerful car, but they handle incredibly well. They're a factory designed and built kit car that you can build yourself, developed by some really good WRC drivers in the UK. So they handle really well, they go around corners really well, and it's a perfect car to learn in. You know, you can push them really hard, and if you can carry good corner speed in a low powered car with a front wheel drive setup, it's the perfect stepping stone for your future to go forward drive and become someone to look out for in the overall terms of the championship going forward. So yeah, really good car, and we had some really good results with it, and of course gave me the opportunity to go and compete in the UK, and I won a scholarship there, and I spent 2 years in England working for M Sport. So it was a huge thing, massive, wicked experience for me all through running that car. So definitely I think we're on the right track running that car next year, and I think we'll go well.
Anything you'd like to say to any potential sponsors, Bryn? Sponsor me, please. No, bloody good, Bryn. All the best for next year.
I've seen his proposal. He looks like he's on the track to working with some good partners and making it mutually beneficial setup, which is what it's got to be with sponsors, doesn't it?
Exactly.
It's got to be a return on investment.
It's got to go both ways instead of one-way traffic, and some people lose a bit of track with that, but yeah, bloody good. Righto, we'll crack into our next topic. Thanks, Bryn. National Championship. So there's a bit of a season wrap, just a bit of a brief on a few of the drivers and how we thought they went and that sort of thing, how they might go next year. So of course, the first of all, Ben. I mean, stand out.
Oh, absolutely. Massively. You were one of the few that could get near him across the season, but he's consistently, and I think as much as no one likes to see domination, I think we were all just that little bit gutted when he retired at Waitomo. So, oh, you probably weren't. But you know, it would have been pretty special to go the clean sweep and to get within a stage and a half of doing it was a bit gut wrenching for them. But Ben and Tony, they were just on another level. They always
just unreal.
Yeah, they always had something there. So Stephen would give him a hard time, or Dylan would give him a hard time, and then he'd pull something out the bag.
Yeah, I think whenever someone got close, he just seemed to be able to step it up a level and push ahead, and it's testament to competing over a long period of time now. He's obviously built good relationships with his sponsors, and it's enabled him 10 good years now of competing. And I think from my point of view, I think one of the key ways to go fast is to have and refine your notes, and he's had a lot of experience and consistent experience with that now, and I think that's probably one of the keys to his success is just the amount of miles he's done and the relationship he's had with Tony right from the start. And he's almost untouchable now in a big car that's probably not quite as easy to drive as something like an 84 these days, but he's doing well, and well done to him. He's class act.
I think it's not even just the driving. The presentation of the car is beautiful. The team, they've got merchandise, they've got Emma doing social media and that sort of thing. It's a whole package.
It is,
and like we were talking about the sponsors, it's got to go both ways. You see him doing stuff with his sponsors. He's a really good guy to learn from, and I think that's good for the likes of Bryn to see someone like that at the top, and what to do and what not to do, I guess.
Just another interesting point you touched on notes, and the general sort of consensus now is you've got to be writing notes to be fast. Well, Ben's one of the few at the front of the field still running those Jimba notes. I guess that really shows that it's not so much writing them as much as personalising the notes to whatever works for you, isn't it? That's what.
I think that's it. Like the Jimba notes are a pretty good base. I don't write my own. I haven't had enough experience to be able to do it, but they've obviously put a lot of effort into making the Jimba notes or altering them to work for them so that they have good understanding. And very rarely do you see him having an off, and he's driving really hard, and he just knows where he's going because the notes are so good. So I think it is a pretty key thing to his success.
So for anyone that doesn't know, the Jimba notes is computer-generated notes that are supplied by the organisers, well, you have to pay for them, and you get the chance in National Championship to then alter them to what suits you personally, or you can write them. So just to give people an idea, those that don't know. So there's options what you do, and some drivers take a lot out of the Jimba notes and then tweak it to themselves, and some just write from scratch. So, but yeah, Bryn, class act, so that's where you need to get to.
No pressure. We'll give you 3 years, Bryn.
It's probably a little bit too soon to say this, but definitely a proper target on his back.
So of course, second place in the championship, and quite consistently most of the year was Josh. I thought they had a pretty good show.
Yeah, I definitely think so. They interesting when we came up north of the outcome, we didn't see them at Waitomo. Struggle wasn't the right word because he was still on the podium, but not quite. He was a clear, I guess, bridger between Ben and the rest of the field at Canterbury, South Canterbury especially.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether that's the way the car works on obviously a lot faster roads down there, but certainly huge step up. Great to see them really getting on top of that car after 2.5 tough years of development. So.
And I know they've done a lot of work, and they do a lot of testing, and of course Josh is an engineer by trade, so a lot of work goes into that. So I think he's had a pretty good season. Hopefully he can step it up a notch next season and try and get a little bit closer again than Ben and try and take a few more stages out of it.
Yeah, I know they're doing a fair bit of work down at the RDL workshop over the off season, speaking to Josh, and so it'll be exciting to see what comes out of that car next year.
Yeah, I think it will be, and big season, so it'll be interesting to see whether they stick with the MRFs or they change. So there's talk of just overnight, WRC going MRF, so that could be a benefit to him. You know.
Absolutely.
Dylan Thompson was another one that impressed me. Didn't really come out of the box at the start of the year and just dominate everyone, but he came out and he just built his speed, and he didn't have too many oopsies.
Yep, that's a smart approach, especially for a young guy with a very limited budget. I think one accident would have ended the season right there and then. So, and to end up third in the championship is testament to his consistency and building on that speed.
Yep. Yeah, no, I think he did a good job. I'm just not so sure. Some of the in-car footage we saw on TV, I'm not sure whether we got every time there was an issue, but he seemed to sometimes have a few lapses in concentration. And Stephen, you'll be able to tell us that you just got to concentrate the whole time.
100%. A momentary lapse in concentration can make all the difference. It's so easy to make a mistake, and at the speeds that we travel, we know it can be catastrophic. So like you say, you have to be on your game all the time. But yeah, I think he did a real clever job this year. Like you say, first step into this new car, he had one or two options. You go out and push hard and try and impress from the first round, or you just build on it. And I think he did that well. And like you say, third's it's a pretty good result for them.
Yeah, I think it was real good. So yeah, and I mean he had people like Jack, who will come to shortly, like Chake, they had to go all season, but Dylan just kept doing his thing, kept to his game plan, and just consistent the whole time.
Yeah, that was an interesting comparison, that one, because you couldn't have got two. They're very similar speeds, but two very, very different approaches to it.
And I think we'll come to Jack soon, but yes, very different ways to get there. So yeah, I've talked to Jack a lot through the season. Of course, I've the tie-up with the Hawkswood family from running them a couple of years ago, and I've got a lot of time for Jack. Was very flamboyant in the early parts of the season, and not sure where that came from, other than Andrew, but in terms of car, because the two-wheel drive, he wasn't flamboyant. He knew that he had to carry his speed, and then he got into the four-wheel drive and started throwing it around a lot. I know towards the end of the season he tried to drive a lot straighter, and it may have cost him some time initially, but I think that'll come. Like you said, Stephen, the underpowered front-wheel drive, they teach you some good skills of carrying that speed. I think the other thing he will have learnt from, and it's probably underestimated, is the China trip.
Absolutely.
So you've been overseas, Stephen, and I think you learn a lot when you go overseas. Like we're all in New Zealand and we don't see lots of other stuff.
Yeah, I think going overseas on a big trip like that and experiencing some of the different terrains and road shapes and things can be a new challenge. I certainly found that out the hard way. I had a wee oopsie in England, and that's just comes down to I wasn't familiar with the road we were on and some of the ways that they design their ditches. But
that's quite inconsiderate.
Yeah. But hey, everywhere you go in the world's different, and you have to approach every event with the right mindset, and you have to learn from it, and getting to the end of that rally is the only way you learn. The more stages you complete, the more Ks you get, and the more experience you have ultimately. So that's good.
Cool. The next person I want to talk about is Dylan Turner, and he likes to talk about himself, so I don't want to talk about him too much. But according to him at the Grey Roots meeting, he was the only person to take a league win off Ben this year.
Yep.
So I guess you've got to give it to him, but unfortunately, Mr. Turner just doesn't do the full season.
No, and he needs to realise that actually nothing counts for double points. Each event is worth what it's worth to him, and that's again another thing he brought up at the Grey Roots meeting. He just retrospectively decided to call his best event double points, and he got shot down pretty quick on that one.
It's not a good idea to try and take on the Grey Roots. And I believe I actually saw some videos that he actually might have got a couple of apexes this year.
Oh, I don't know about that. I think that might have been down to a few double up more than Dylan.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and I think he just found every bank he could at Waitomo to call himself a few punches. So.
Yeah, well, he's the only Dunlop runner all year to get punches on any event, and got three of them in one event. So I think there is a common denominator there, as much as you try to deny it, Dill. But in all seriousness, when he was going, the speed was fantastic.
Good pace.
Yeah. I know little Malcolm said to me in Otago, didn't really tip it into the first corner, and he got a bit of a rev up. He got told, "Are we here to rally, or are we just going to tour through?" And then he came out at the end of the first stage, equal fastest with Brendo there. So shot in the arm, and he was quick all day. That was a fantastic performance, and it'd be great to see him do a full season, and hopefully, he could be a real championship contender.
Yep, I think so. And I think that not doing the events, you don't learn those events, and like Stephen said, the more miles you do, the better you get, and it's about finding those. We're not looking for seconds per kilometre, we're looking for tenths of seconds per kilometre, which is
And hundreds.
yeah, and it's not easy to find. It sounds like not much, but it's hard to find, as you're probably finding out for
Sometimes, yeah.
Rana, another one that impressed me. I mean, he's had an up and down season, and he started the season with, I do recall, so at Otago there was a bit of a reverse seed, so we were running back in the market. I talked to Phil and I said, hey, we're probably going to see some debris from some of the other cars. There may be some things. I didn't expect to see some debris 500 metres into the first stage, and I didn't expect them from the car in front of us. So
Yes, yeah, that was a real shame. I mean, I think a lot of people held out a lot of expectations for Rana. He's really come on leaps and bounds, and it's really hard to remember that he's only been rallying for 2 years.
yeah,
And so obviously a really tough start to the season with a couple of offs, but then he played the smart game. He lost a bit of confidence. He backed off at Canterbury and just got his mojo back. I mean, he was on the podium at South Canterbury. A small mistake, but he was right there at Coromandel, and then fantastic to see him pick up a win at Waitomo.
it was a great one. It was a great battle. Like after being stopped, we had a few jokes, and he was pushing us hard. So we decided to have a crack in that last stage. We could have just held station and tried to get second, but we decided to have a crack and it didn't come off. But yeah, full credit to Rana. Great drive this year. Just like to say, reset and win again.
Yep.
So, who we got next, boys?
I believe Kingsley's the next one.
Oh, missed the alien.
Yeah.
So the other R5 car. So Wendell once again did a Dylan Thompson, I guess. Built it on his speed all year. Didn't do anything too silly. He had a couple of little offs, but didn't do too much damage to the car. I mean, that bumper went 20 times over, I think.
Yeah, well, the old spray can works a treat, doesn't it? But great to see him. Targeted his approach at the start of the season. Knew the fast rallies in the South Island, not really his cup of tea. That's something he will need to build on for next year. But really attacked on those events that he enjoyed, and shame about the little off at Whangarei. He was in a really good position there. Coromandel, he was quick, and then he was close to pushing Rana over the line at Waitomo.
He won the last stage. So
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure whether it was a long stage, and I'm not sure whether Rana backed off a touch after he saw Filmer. I'm not sure whether Rana knows too much about backing off, but but yeah, Wendell actually won that stage, which is
with a half spin.
Yeah, with a half spin. So good full credit to him for that.
Yeah.
You got to take your hat off. So yeah, well done. And those cars, R5 cars, Stephen, you've had a bit of a test in one of those.
Yeah, they're incredible car to drive. I guess they do take some learning. They're still only a small engine car, and I think Kingsley's done a few miles now, and he's really got his head around it. It's good to see such a passionate guy starting to do well in that car. Like he loves his rallying, and he's driven a few Evos and had some good results and over the years. But to see him do the full championship this year and start pushing the guys at the top along, it's good to see.
Yep. Of course, the next one, I'm going to plead the fifth on the next one. The next drive, we'll have a bit of talk to. I mean, Phil, I thought he had a good season.
Yeah, I think so. Unfortunately, probably the car let him down a few times, and it's hard. You said the niggling problems basically all the way through, which Stephen makes it incredibly hard to really commit to.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, I mean, you can't get your confidence up if there's a small issue, and even if it's not one that's ultimately affecting the way the car drives, it sometimes gets in your head and it doesn't allow you to drive as committed as you need to be to keep up. And but yeah, hey, look, he's driven well all year, and just get his head around that new car, and it's Good to see.
Like when you get to Waitomo and you look at it all through the morning, he was the clear best of the rest behind them. So obviously Rana put a bit of pressure on him in the afternoon, and unfortunately the last stage happened.
I thought we were just going to cut that stage.
First, God knows how many kilometres minus the last 40. You know.
Not the ideal way to finish the season, and he beat himself up pretty hard on that. I mean, I said to him I was proud that he actually had a bit of a crack, you know. I mean, like I say, we could have just taken 2 or 3 there, settled for second as such, but we had a bit of a crack and we came off the wrong side. But
sometimes these things happen. I've experienced it myself. You know, you kick yourself when you finish so close without having that. You know, if you just sat back and took the second, you know, you think about it down the track and going, I wish I'd just given it everything, you know. And versus the other way, you give it everything, and sometimes it doesn't work that way either. But I mean, I think he's doing really well in that car, and I think moving forward that he's only going to get better.
yeah, especially with a lighter co-driver.
You talk about confidence being so important too, and I think going obviously missing Coromandel wasn't ideal, but going to Pai here and having a really good result up there, I think really showed when he got to Waitomo and was straight on pace and probably up a step from where we'd seen him all season. So it'd be interesting to see with as you say, lighter co-driver young Jared Hudson in there for next year. So.
And Bryn, so from Pai here, Phil stole Zoe, your sister, your co-driver, and what did she think of that?
She was very happy with the experience. She was very pleasant to Phil for giving the opportunity, and she's obviously learned a lot from it. And definitely her plans for next year is a little bit unknown so far, but I think she might be just slightly gutted if she missed her opportunity, but still there's heaps of opportunities out there.
Yeah. You'd still be trying to retain her, would you?
Look, for me next year we're still in discussion, so we'll see what happens.
Oh, you're still negotiating with it?
Yeah.
$1,500 a day, mate, is the I must school her up on that one. Next one, Joe. So Joe selected events this year, didn't do the full championship once again, but it's shown some really good pace, I felt.
Yeah, I think they were intending to come north to Whangarei and couldn't get parts in time. Obviously that was a really tight turnaround between those first 2 events, but I think we'll come to that a bit later in the program. So that was a shame they couldn't get there, but then came back at Canterbury and on the podium, but didn't do it by luck. That he was strong there all day, and then again another strong showing at South Canterbury.
Yeah, no, I thought he did well. So, thoughts, Stephen?
Yeah, I mean, again, I had limited experience, I suppose. So to come out and get those good results down south and show good speeds, a big improvement for him. So.
I think the other big thing for them is that they seem to have finally got on top of that car. It's been nothing but a nightmare for them for 2 seasons.
Yeah, they've had just an absolute shocker with that car. So if they can get some consistency out of the car, I think he'll be right to pace them. It's pretty exciting next year, so good to see. Greenie, and I mean, the other thing we need to talk about is Green's coming back for sponsoring the championship for the 10th season in a row next year.
Yeah, so big thanks to Greenie. I think that comes from everyone in the rallying community. You know, obviously I've got a bit of an involvement, but I'm sure that you appreciate it just as much as I do. You know, it's fantastic. I'm sure if we really break it down, that probably we talk about sponsorships needing good returns, and that's probably not one of them. But you know, massive thank you to Greenie for doing that, and I think he's been a big part of allowing the championship to evolve and get to where it's become. You know, so
yeah. And he's looking at moving into a new car next year.
New car next year, so very similar to what he's run, but one fairly significant different. They've moved the handlebars on it, so you can teach an old dog new tricks. Well, hopefully.
I think he's got a little bit of experience in that side of the car.
So you left-hand drive Mirage out of the Team Rally Art stable there, so we wait to see what might happen with that car that he's been running this year too, because it's a pretty trick bit of kit, and Greenie's the first one to tell you that they're a young man's car to drive.
He loves that car though. He just so
absolutely does.
Yeah,
and it's great to see him at 70, 71, 72 years of age now, still as passionate as ever about his motorsport. And I'm
sure he's only like 40.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, looks younger than you do now.
Yeah, well, that's not hard, mate.
Got more hair as well.
It's all the drivers. These guys are ages, mate. So, next one, Matt Summerfield. So, he had a go on the Greenies Mirage this year
Yes.
at Otago. Greenie injured himself and couldn't make the event.
Yeah, broke a rib, had a fall and broke a rib, so that was, and I think he was gutted to miss that, but a great opportunity for Matt, and unfortunately for him, had a puncture probably on his, I guess, his strongest stage in the championship, Prairie Bush, and that tyre change just turned into an absolute cluster, didn't it?
Yeah, and we talked earlier about small things and knowing where the jack is in the car and how it works and how to get it up in a hurry. I mean, it's got a quick lift jack in there. It should have been outside. I would have said 3-minute tyre change, Stephen. I mean, you need to be practicing. Good for you to learn, Bryn. I mean, how does it all work? I mean, the driver and co-driver the whole time in a tyre change both need to be doing something, and there's no excuse really. They just need to make sure they don't leave those small bits on the table.
It was a last minute call up, but those are the sorts of things you spend half an hour practicing. And in the heat of the moment, yes, it's also very easy to sit back and say it from here, but it's those sorts of things that cost you. Big style stuff.
Yeah, I mean, perhaps he didn't have the time to familiarise himself 100% with the car, but that's, things do go wrong, especially punches, and that's probably the first thing to learn how to use that jack, because they're fairly simple, but unless you set them up initially correctly, they won't work at all. So and they worked that out in the end, which is a shame, because he was flying down there. Driving really well, and it was impressive. So
yeah,
it's a little bit surprising when he got back in the Subaru. I thought maybe at Canterbury especially, not. I don't know, maybe I'm being a bit harsh, but not quite as fast as I probably expected him to be.
I thought he was good. I did expect him to be a bit faster, especially on those fast stages. I mean, production car, they've got a lot more top end than the 84s and such. So, that last stage, he was pretty fast in that last stage. There was some interesting marks and some of I must admit, and upon seeing some of his in-car footage, it looked like him, so it was pretty committed, I would politely put it.
Yeah, I don't think there's ever an issue with Matt and commitment. He's never shy of picking it up and grabbing it by the scruff of the neck and really having a good go, and he commits hard to those notes, and that's where the speed is. So.
Yeah, well, good. Right, where are we up to, boys? We need to keep marching on. So, quickly, I don't think we want to dwell on it too much. Emma's season. I'm not sure.
Even a season. The pieces of the puzzle looked so good coming into the season, didn't they? Yeah. And a puncture in the first stage, and then the overheating and the engine issues, and they're just.
But the handful of stages where she got the car going, she was fast. Yep. Top 5.
Yes.
As she always is.
Yeah.
But like you say, it's, the way the car panned out at the start of the year it never really got any better, did it? And that's a shame, because she always puts a huge effort into her season and everything behind the scenes. And it's, I know, talking to her, I see it around her quite a lot throughout the year, and just chatting with her, before and after stages, and she was just devastated the way it worked out, and it's really sad to see it, but these things happen sometimes, and a year can just snowball.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's hopefully they get it sorted. So I know she'll be working hard to try and get it sorted. She's very passionate.
There's some big changes in amongst the team there, so you can't sort of not change anything and expect different results. So she's probably had to make a couple of tough decisions, and I'm sure that a lot of that will come out in the wash, but be really interesting to see where she ends up next year.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Two-wheel drive battle, so we won't dwell too. Sorry if we only just cover most of the four-wheel drives, and we can't cover everyone.
We've just spent a year getting over that now. Clinky will be calling you in no time.
So, sorry, not sorry, but two-wheel drive battle. I mean, to me, the last round was the most exciting. I mean,
huge.
Equal points, and I know Clinky, stubbed a toe or something and couldn't make it.
Fake appendicitis because he never likes coming to Coromandel. I can't figure out why.